Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is going to be remove these two 10mm bolts on the factory airbox. Then on the back side of the box, we're going to remove this little harness connector right down here so that we can remove the harness from the box. Next, we can remove the MAF sensor right here and then undo the hose clamp that will take off the pipe. The hose clamp bolt right here is 6mm, so just get your ratchet, undo that. Once it's loose enough, you should just be able to pull it off. Pretty easy. Once you take off the hose, you should just be able to pull your box right out. Make sure to take this little piece of the hose that comes from the grills too, because we're going to be using this later. Alrighty, now that the factory air box is out, it's never a bad idea to just clean. Get some soapy water or some all-purpose cleaner. Just rub it down there, because after all, this is going to be the part that's visible, so. Next, you can just unplug this little vent tube on top of the pipe. And now back to the 13mm, we're gonna get the lower hose clamp at the bottom of this tube so we can pull out the tube. Alrighty, so down here there's a rubber strap connected to this little pipe. If yours isn't already broken like mine, then you're gonna wanna undo that. Mine's already broken, so I'm just gonna pull this out. Pull that out from the frame of your car. So now we're actually getting to our new intake. Here we have the charge pipe, and the kit also comes with a little rubber grommet. We're going to put the grommet into this hole, which is probably going to take a little bit of fidgeting because it is a pretty small hole. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use our new K&N charge pipe with the factory hose clamp and clamp it down to where the original intake tube came out. Okay, so next we're going to grab the vent tube that we had earlier and put it right into that grommet. Okay, so here we have our heat trim, and we're going to install it all along the edges of our heat shield right over here. This is going to help the heat not be able to pass past the heat shield so that the intake can get the most amount of cold air possible. So to fit the trim around some of these sharp turns, like right here, I'm actually just going to use some scissors to cut off a little section of the trim. Alrighty, and now with that angle piece that we had from our original air box before, we're going to put one end into the heat shield. While we're here, we're going to release our mass airflow sensor from the original air box just by releasing these two metal clips on the sides. Just pull those out, and your mass airflow sensor should just come right out. Okay, now what we're going to do is grab our mass airflow sensor along with the rubber coupler that came with the cold air intake kit, slide it on to the back, which is the opposite side than the side with the metal grate. Then we're going to grab two hose clamps, again came with the kit, slide that all the way down, and then slide the second one on top of that. You can tighten the first one. Unlike the OEM hose clamps, these are actually a 5/16. So grab your ratchet and just tighten these down. So you want to tighten this so that you know it's not going to go anywhere, but make sure that you don't over tighten it because you don't want to crack your mass airflow sensor. Alright, now we're going to put the heat shield in, and it's going to go down to the bottom two studs that are already sticking out of the frame. So now just tighten these 10mm bolts down with the ratchet wrench. So what I did was I got my mass airflow sensor and I put it on the charge pipe and entered it into the heat shield. Now I'm gonna tighten the hose clamp. So that rubber piece we pulled out from the studs earlier that was holding the pipe, we're gonna reinstall right now. Now I'm gonna install the little bracket that's gonna hold on the frame of the car and onto the heat shield. You want the shorter end of the bracket to be on the frame, and we're gonna use the 2 screws that are provided in the kit. I have washers on both these screws, but the screw that's gonna be going into the frame will have a locking washer. Now it's just a 4mm Allen wrench that I'm going to be using to secure these down. To attach the screw that goes from the bracket to the heat shield, I don't know if there was supposed to be a nut or the hole was supposed to be threaded. It just slides in and out for me. So what I ended up doing is ripping out the bracket that held the original airbox, and I'm going to just put it on the back side of the K&N heat shield. I know this isn't the best method, but I couldn't find another nut that fit, so this is going to be the last resort. Alrighty, last thing we're going to do, plug in the mass airflow cable, and we should be good to go. Let's see how this thing sounds.
Ooh.